I'm Josh George today doing a video over ACC College Football 2020. They're doing one division this year, so we're going to do a rundown of each team, bottom to top here. The first team on our list is Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech was 3-9 last year, and it was Jeff Collins' first season, and he has totally changed the entire offense, and they have 10 starters coming back this year on offense, so they're going to look a lot better offensively. Jeff Collins' team's finally going to look the way they should offensively. They're finally going to be clicking, but with a more difficult schedule, I have the Yellow Jackets 1-10. Now to Syracuse. I think Tommy DeVito and Coach Dino Babers are I think that's one of the best combinations in all of the ACC, quarterback and head coach. I think it's really good. I think they work really well together. I think the challenge is their defense. Their defense was 13th in the ACC in total defense, and they've got to turn that around. I'm just not so sure they're going to. I have the Qs at 2-9. Now to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's Pat Narduzzi recently turned down a job from Michigan State, so we know he's a good head coach. He's getting his name out there. He's got a good record, but this season is just really big for him. Kenny Pickett has to find a new receiver. Their quarterback, he's got to find somebody he likes. I think it's going to be A.J. Davis. I think A.J. Davis could end up being a big star for them. But I have Pittsburgh 3-7. UVA, Virginia won this division last year, but they have a new quarterback and a lot of new faces on defense. And a stat that kind of hits me with Virginia is that out of 173 trips to the red zone, they only scored on 69. If they have a new quarterback, I think that could be even less. So because of that fear, I have Virginia 3-7. Now to Boston College, the Golden Eagles. I think this team could be really good. It's just a matter of, can Jeff Humphrey make it happen? You know, they were 6-6 last year. They had to play Notre Dame and Alabama, and they had 2 losses within 3 points, which is why they were 5-7. But anyways, this year I have them 4-6. Now to Wake Forest. Wake Forest has one of the most underrated defensive coordinators in all of college football in Lyle Hemphill. 37% of drives that their defense win against wound up being 3-and-outs. Also, they had the highest turnover margin in the ACC, which meant for their defense. So they had the best turnover margin on defense in the ACC. Really good defense, but only 3 starters on offense. Huge question mark for me and for the Demon Deacons. That's why I have them at 4-6. But next year could be their year to shine if their defense can stay together and their offense gets experience. Now, to the Noles, Florida State. Mike Norvell recently took over. They've had the worst offensive line in the ACC several years running. That's a lot. They've got a long way to go. But according to the 247 talent composite, they're the number 2. They're the second most talented team in the ACC. A lot of talent, but they got to find a way to harden it, get it good, get it to work, get the offensive line structured. Right now, I have the Noles 5-6. Now, to NC State. The Wolfpack looked really bad last year, only winning 3 games, and they just didn't look good. I mean, they didn't have the eye test. This year, I think they're going to be able to string things together. Last year, they finished 123rd in fumbles. They fumbled the ball a lot. They've got a good stable of backs this year coming back. I think they'll learn to hold on to the football. I think they'll get a little bit better. I think they'll definitely get stronger at the end of the season. I think they can beat teams like Florida State, and then ending with Syracuse and Georgia Tech is going to be good for them. I have the Wolfpack 6-5. Now to Miami. Manny Diaz's second season at head coach. Everyone boasts about his defense, and people talk about the turnover chain. But really, when you talk about the Noles, I think you talk about the offense. This season, they have 5 starters coming back only on offensive line. So that's their main bulk of their team is on offensive line. Then I think they have 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the ACC in N'Kosi Perry and Eric King. So great quarterback, good blocking offensive line, and both quarterbacks like to scramble. I think they're set there. I think this offense is going to be really good. I'm actually worried about the defense, but I have the Noles 7-4. I don't think their defense can win the big games like against a really good defense in Wake Forest or Virginia Tech, the lunchbox defense, or Clemson, or in a rivalry game like Florida State. Otherwise, they could be really scary. Miami's one of those under-the-radar teams. Now, to Virginia Tech. I think the Hokies are going to be really good this year. Now, Bud Foster is no longer part of the lunchbox defense, but Virginia Tech does have 10 starters back on defense. So they are a team that's going to have a really good defense. It's can their offense find a way, and I'm too worried about their offense. I have them at 7-4. Now, to Duke. The Blue Devils had a rough season last year, and yeah, we'll see what they bring back this year. I mean, their offensive production, though, was second in scoring offense in the ACC, so that was a big positive step for them. So I think that they have enough in the tank to win 7 games. I have them at 7-4. Louisville's a team that kind of turned a corner last year. In some of their games you watched that were really close, they just couldn't get across the finish line. And I think they've got what it takes. It just comes down to making the play at the end of a game, and they just didn't have it last year. I think they might this year. I have Louisville 8-3. Now, to North Carolina, the Tar Heels, coached by Matt Brown, quarterbacked by Sam Hole, and an offense that was pretty good last year. An offense that scored 55 points in their bowl game against Temple, and a defense that held Temple to 13 points. They looked good. They found a way to win their first 2 games. I started calling them the find-a-way team, and then they blew out Temple at the end of the year for a bowl game. Things seemed to be coming together. This team, and they challenged Clemson. They almost won. If it wasn't for a bad 2-point conversion, they would have upset them. I think this is a team that's really good that I'm afraid might run out of gas, having faced Notre Dame and then at Miami at the end of the year. I have them at 8-3. Now, Clemson. I could talk all day about them. They've got Trevor Lawrence. All the Clemson fans Dabo Swinney has made this team a dynasty. They probably will win the national championship. They're a huge favorite. But I have them 10-1 with that loss at Notre Dame. It's a tough place to win. I think it's just one that you got to watch out for. Clemson goes into every game thinking they're going to win, and you might look past an opponent like a Notre Dame, and you can't do that this season. Now, Notre Dame, the team that I have finishing first and going to the conference championship game to face Clemson. They're in the ACC this year. They'll get a chance to play in a conference title. They've never won a conference title. They've always been an independent. So that's really interesting. But they were third in passing offense last year. The thing is, Ian Book has to find all new targets as they have no new receivers back this year. But I have Notre Dame 9-1. Now to the conference title game. Well, it's these two. I don't think you're going to beat Clemson twice this year, so I have Clemson winning the ACC, beating Notre Dame. That'll make Clemson 11-1 and Notre Dame 9-2.